IHS Studios is an ecclesiastical art studio that specializes in the design, fabrication, and installation of art glass windows. The primary artists and craftsmen of IHS Studios also work with stone, metal, wood, and wall murals, often combining these mediums with stained glass design. Since founding IHS Studios in 1981, Chief Artist Dennis Roberts has worked primarily with on-site, specific ecclesiastical commissions. He works closely with the architect and church representatives to interpret the needs of the client.
From the beginning, we've worked with Dennis, we worked with other artisans, and they've done just what they said they would do and better than we had hoped for.
Dennis's goal was to create a studio that would focus on a higher purpose and mission.
Well, when I started IHS Studios back in the early 80s, my philosophy was to be able to use God-given talents to create works of glory that would glorify and honor our Lord, not only in the work that we did, but in the way that we treated our employees and the way we worked with the customers that we worked for.
Dennis uses a creative mix of traditional symbolism and contemporary design elements that harmonize with the architecture in which they exist.
You can see the craftsmanship just by looking at it. And people have remarked about how beautiful it is and what beautiful work Dennis did with it. We are pleased, the people are pleased at that window. That window really is really the theme of St. Paul's.
In the past 20 years, he has gathered several artists and craftsmen who, together under his supervision, have completed more than 500 commissions. Recently, Dennis was asked to design a memorial window for the new Memorial Chapel at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. The Pentagon-shaped window was donated by IHS Studios to honor the men and women who perished on September 11, 2001.
I guess our most memorable experience was when we were asked to design and fabricate a window for the Pentagon. Colonel Eric Wester had called and asked if we could do a process similar to one that we had done in an earlier church convention. This is where 400 chaplains would participate in fabricating this window, which was later to be installed in a memorial chapel dedicated to those that were killed in the September 11th attack on the Pentagon.
There are three primary types of architectural art glass windows: leaded, stained glass, and faceted glass, or dalle de verre. The procedure for leaded glass fabrication is much like that of stained glass. However, no painting is involved. Leaded glass window designs can consist of simple or intricate cut pieces of glass. These windows use clear or colored glass in different shapes and sizes. The pieces are then set in place with a lattice of H-shaped lead strips or cames that are soldered at the joints. Once this is complete, the window is waterproofed and is ready to be installed in a window opening and become a part of a building. Stained glass windows are put together from pieces of colored glass, cut to shape, and then arranged in a pattern designed by the artist. Painting glass requires the use of a kiln heated at 1300 degrees Fahrenheit. This process fuses the paint to become a part of the glass. A painted piece of glass spends up to 6 hours in the kiln before it can be handled again. When painting a face, the artisan may have to fire it in the kiln 7 or 8 times before it's complete. Faceted glass or dalle de verre fabrication begins like stained glass or leaded glass with the artist's design, called a cartoon. But the cutting procedure for faceted glass is quite different. There are two basic ways of cutting glass dowels. In the anvil cut method, the glass is scored and broken over a steel anvil. This method is very primitive and results in little control over the pieces. In the saw cut method, the glass dowel is scored and cut along the score line with a diamond blade saw. This method is a more controlled application and enables the development of more precise pieces. Faceted glass windows are much heavier and thicker than stained glass or leaded glass windows. For example, stained glass windows are 3/8 of an inch thick, and faceted windows are 1 inch thick. Faceted windows must be formed and cast in epoxy. Form preparation involves covering the cartoon with wax paper to prevent the epoxy from sticking to it. Once completed, the individual pieces of cut dowels are then placed in their designated positions. Casting begins by placing an aggregate between the pieces of glass. This serves as a releasing agent to keep the panel from sticking to the table, and more importantly, it blocks the damaging ultraviolet rays of the sun. Then, the epoxy is carefully poured around the pieces of glass and is cured for 3 to 4 days before cleanup takes place. With the added thickness of glass and epoxy, faceted glass windows weigh 5 times more than stained glass windows. IHS Studios also prides itself in restoring historical stained glass windows and offering complete preventative maintenance and repair services. Perhaps more important than any other part of a building's exterior, stained glass windows should receive routine maintenance to minimize the effects of natural elements. Architectural art glass windows in a church exist within a web of connections: physical, architectural, historical, theological, and social that transcends the simple structure of the window itself. It is these connections that give a window meaning, context, and place within a congregation of God's people. Whether you're building, remodeling, or would like to preserve your works of architectural glass art, IHS Studios can help you reach your goals. For additional information, contact an IHS Studios representative at 1-800-259-1842. That's 1-800-259-1842, or log on to their website at www.ihsstudios.com. We look forward to working with you.